Today we're going to be focusing on section D, which is plane geometry, and we're going to be doing subsection C, which is triangles and polygons. So basically we're going to be going over how we can use some basic things like the triangle sum theorem and the measure of the interior and the remote exterior angles to find the measures of angles of a triangle. So let's see how it works. Let's get some basic theory in first, and then we'll get into the actual problem solving. It's going to be a very short video. Okay, the concept is very simple and clear. So here's a triangle. The angles at each vertex inside the triangle, we call them interior angles. So the bottom line is that the sum of the interior angles of any triangle, no matter the size, is going to be 180 degrees. So one of the things that's going to be found here is that usually you might be given the measure of two angles and you want to find the third one, or you're going to be given some variable representation of the angles, and then you want to find the value of x and then subsequently find the measure of each angle. So let's go on to the next slide. The second most important concept here has to do with this angle that is outside the triangle, away from these two angles we call remote interior angles. So they are remote to this external angle, to this exterior angle. What it says is that the sum of these two interior angles will be equal to this remote, equal to this angle. So the measure of the sum of the measure of interior angle A and B will be equal to the measure of angle 1. So what we have here is something like this, and then we have something like this, and we have here to be 145 degrees. We have this is angle X, that's the angle we want to find, and we know here to be 82 degrees. So I think also we have this angle to be 65. So there are several things that we can do to find this angle. So first, let me call this angle Y, and say, let me also call this angle Z, because these are very important angles that might help me to find my angle. Now, how can I find the measure of angle Y? Well, over here I have a linear pair. So linear pairs are supplemental, meaning that the sum of these two angles must be 180. So Y plus 145 must be equal to 180 degrees. So I can solve here by subtracting 145 on both sides. Minus 145, minus 145, and I have Y equals to 35 degrees. So I've solved and gotten Y equals to 35 degrees. Now, so several things can happen over here. So now what I have in here is a triangle. I want to take that triangle out right here and let you see it. So I have this angle to be 35 degrees. I have this angle to be 65 degrees. And I don't know this angle here, but I know that the sum of the interior angles of any triangle is 180. So I can say Z plus 35 plus 65 must be equal to 180. So I can do Z, 35 plus 65 is going to be 100 equals to 180. And when I subtract, I want to have Z is going to be equal to 80 degrees. So angle Z here is going to be 80 degrees. Now that I know that Z is 80 degrees, how can I find angle X? Now, there are two different ways in which I can find angle X. One way is to look at the fact that right here, these angles lie on a straight line. So if they lie on a straight line, then they must sum up to what? 180. That is X plus Z plus 82 must be equal to 180. What is X? X is what? We found X to be what? We don't know X, correct? So, but we know Z is what? Z is going to be what? 80. Then we have plus 82 equals to 180. So 80 plus 82 would be equal to 162. That's 180 minus 162 minus 162. So I have X equals to, X is going to be equal to 18 degrees. Now that's one way of finding this angle. I don't want to crowd this thing up, but let me move on to another slide. Let me find another space to show you another approach in finding this angle. So let's see this. Let's see here, for example. So once we found here that here was 145, and we found this to be 35, and we found this to be 65. And I see here that when I add these two angles, it must be equal to this angle over here. Now, but here, we also already had an angle here that was what? 82, correct? So there's a portion here that, let me call it, say, W, that I don't know. So how do I find that part? Well, I know that the sum of these two angles must be equal to this. So that means 35 plus 65 must be equal to this 82 plus, well, I can just, instead of using W, let me just use X, because that was X that we were trying to find. Must be equal to X. So 65 plus 35 will be 100 equals to 82 plus X. And when I subtract 82 from both sides, I will have X equal to 18. Same way. It says find the value of X in this diagram. So here's what we have here in this figure. Okay. So then I have this. I have this angle to be 4x plus 10. And I have this angle to be 48 degrees. And I have this to be 11x plus what? 2. So clearly we see here that we're given the measure of two interior angles. So the sum of these two angles must be equal to the exterior angles on the other end. So I can just set up by doing 4x plus 10 plus 48 must be equal to 11x plus what? 2. Well, I have like terms here, so I have 4x plus what? 58 must be equal to 11x plus what? 2. I can move the x term on one side and the ones that don't have x on the other side. So I can minus 4x from here, minus 4x from there. I have 58 equals to 7x plus 2. I can minus 2, minus 2. I have 56 is equal to 7x divided by 7 divided by 7. And I have x equals to what? 8. So now I have found the value of x. So this is very basic, very simple. The key here is to remember two major concepts. The sum of the interior angles of any triangle is 180 degrees, and the sum of the remote interior angle is equal to the exterior angles on the other end. So that's it. Thank you again. Please don't forget to subscribe to us, and then like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Also, see if you can open an account on our website at www.freeliberia.org. And for those of you who are watching this video, you think that it makes a contribution to the students in Liberia, please don't forget to contribute to us. Your contribution will help us improve the quality of our video and be able to add other content area and provide more videos even in mathematics. Thank you.